And we're live. Okay, welcome everybody. This is our first session of our Into the Wild campaign, which will feature books from our Cinematic Environs series. The purpose of these books is to help make travel more exciting and give players something to struggle and fight against other than just monsters. Alex, if you could hold up a copy of the Desert book, which we'll be drawing from for the first couple of sessions. He can do that when he's unfrozen, I guess. There's a link. I posted a link in the description on DriveThruRPG if you guys want to find the books. So, before we get started, let's introduce our players. I'll go to Alex G last since he seems to be stuck a little bit. So let's start with Steve. You can tell us your name, maybe a bit about your character, but not too much since the other PCs don't really know him yet.
Right. So, my name, or the character's name, no, I'm just kidding. So, I'll be playing Ku, who is a paladin modeled after samurai-ishness. From a sort of volcanic tribe of dwarves to the north. And something's been wrong and bugging him, and he's on a travel to figure it out. The rest of it you can discover on your own.
Excellent, and the party will be heading in that direction eventually. DBJ, you go next.
Sure thing. I am DBJ, Davabrian Jackson. Just call me DBJ. I am playing Vicus the Jack, a wood elf who is statistically an acolyte and a barbarian. Very Native American. Lived with a tribal family that roamed the grasslands near Aldrith. Unfortunately, bad times and weather and other things happened to disband the tribe, and so when he was a young man, he had to migrate to a city and has lived in the outskirts of a city, but he longs for the old ways of being a nomad, and he wants to reunite his people and bring back the culture. And despite his rather uncivilized nature, he is quite a spiritual individual, and so he sees the gods and the work of the spirits in everything in nature.
Excellent. And DBJ, for those who don't know, is the brainchild, the original Notion creator of the Cinematic Environs series. So Alex G, if you're there,
yeah,
tell us a little bit about your character, and you can throw up that copy of the Desert Waste if you got it.
Yeah, well, I will give it a try. This is the Desert Waste book, by the way, everyone. Our second book we put out, Cinematic Environs, Desert Waste, as you can see, and I am playing, and I apologize in advance if I drop off because my I am playing Lord Kalen Aldrith the Fourth. Is there no from a barony on an island off the shore, and he sort of gave up his titles for the most.
Uh-oh. And so Alex G takes 4 points connection damage. We'll come back to him if he gets back. And Alex Baldwin, tell us a little bit about yourself and your character, please.
My name is Alexander Baldwin. I am not interesting at all, so we're not going to talk about that. And I'm playing as Pei Rightmap, who is a half-elf cartographer who is fed up with all the adventurers coming back with shitty maps that are basically useless.
Yes, I will add that's not the name your character was born with, but acquired along the way.
It felt right.
No, it makes sense. It wouldn't have made sense if you were born with that name and then just happened to become a cartographer. That would have been illogical and silly. All right, so since we're waiting on Alex G, I'm going to change my original idea, and I'm going to start with DBJ and Pei's character, Vicus, and Pay. You guys, it is the morning that you are to set out on this expedition you've agreed to with Kaelin Aldreth. You have no knowledge of Ku yet. You guys are down you're in the town of Bethanor. You're down by the docks. There's a ferry going to be leaving in about an hour or so, but you guys are ready and ready to go. So we'll start with you two down by the docks in Bethanor. So I can describe it for you a little bit. It's a forested, you're in a forested environment, but down here there's some beaches. There is a gap across the way which leads to Kelna, which is a small forested area that gradually leads into desert. The gap is takes about 4 hours by slow moving ferry, and lots of people go on it, and the ferry goes twice a day. So it's fairly busy here. There's a lot of people going, coming, and going. There's cargo being boarded and loaded. It's kind of noisy. It's a warm day. It is spring.
Awesome. I'm standing on the dock. My backpack's leaned against my leg, and I'm like got my eyes closed, but I'm like feeling the warm sun against my face and taking in all the sights and the sounds, trying to remember them all. You know, maybe kids running around, the smell of vendors selling wares when the dock meets the shore as passengers disembark from the ferry, and I'm just like waxing a little melancholy. Just I really don't want to leave, but I can't stay. So I'm just kind of like taking it all in, smelling the foods and the feeling of the people running around and such.
Okay, you are there with Pei. You two have been introduced probably about a week or two ago. Kaelin introduced you, and you both know you're both going on this expedition along with him. So if you want to say something, Pei, go for it.
Well, Pei is actually from a coastal city by the forest, so far this is much like her home. The small island continent she's from is completely forest and mountains, and so she's both excited and terrified to go into the desert because she's never been into a desert before. But she's playing it cool. She's got her boots off, and she is kicking at the water because, I mean, this is how she grew up. She loves the water.
And you are a female half-elf.
Yeah, female half-elf.
Okay. Got it. So, Alex G., are you with us? Oh, he doesn't want to go on this expedition. He's shy.
I stand over next to Pei because I'm just standing looking around, and I say, Pei, can I take a look at that map again?
Sure. Which one? I have 12 with me right now.
12? I didn't realize you were working on 12?
No, most of them are finished. The one for this place, I've only drawn up the map of the city. You want to see the city map?
Sure.
All right.
It amazes me how you're able to see the view that the gods look down upon us, and I'm just kind of intrigued.
Well, if you want to do it, all you have to do is think what it would look like from above. You see mountains from above, they come to a point. They don't look like this, they look like this. It's not that hard. And she pulls out the map she has a big map of the entire island she's from, and she shows it to him. And you see, I am from this right there, that's me. And I went around here, and I went in through here. And you can draw it. It's not a problem.
You can see from the map she's showing you that the area she's showing you is actually hundreds, if not thousands of miles away off the East Coast.
It's far too confusing for me, but I'm just, I kind of gesture with my hands. I go, I think my people traveled from here to here, and I really have no idea what I'm pointing at. Going, well, and no, Anyway, I plan on seeing the whole thing, and yes.
My friend, this is a map of my homeland. You have never been here.
How do you know I've never been there? I've never been there.
You've never been there, because I've never heard of someone like you before, and I would have heard of someone like you before.
With trees and forests. It gets in the way of being able to see the landscape, the beautiful mountains, the plains that go on to the horizon. Why would you want trees in the way?
My friend, there is nothing more beautiful than trees.
No doubt, in moderation.
No, nothing but trees. Most beautiful.
Okay. Meanwhile, back in Aldreth Manor, literally, Alex, you got cut off. So tell us a little bit about your manor and maybe kind of how you acquired it. Your background is kind of interesting. You're a bit of a local hero here.
Yeah, the Aldreth Manor has been in my family for centuries, and my father, Lord Aldreth III, as you might imagine, was not well liked by the people. I was raised primarily by servants, but one key influence in my life was Mr. Morse, who was kind of a gameskeeper. He would teach me about the wilderness. I couldn't stand being near or around my father whenever I could avoid it. He was a kind of a cruel man. And one day, he left. He was essentially starving the people, and I wouldn't stand for it any longer. And I stood up to him on the side of the people. He was overthrown, where he languishes in the basement, in the dungeon of this very manor. I didn't want to take his seat, and so I gave the lands and all that I could, except of course for this structure, maybe a little bit of land around it, back to the people that they now own and manage on their own. And I have nothing really to say about it. They have, out of gratitude, they've still retained the title for me, but I don't use it very often, unless it would get me a better deal on some camels, perhaps. But apart from that, yeah, the manor itself is fairly good sized. It's really like so many manors of this type. It's really kind of a rectangular keep almost. High windows, very few windows on the lower half, and gardens kind of surrounding it and so forth. Gravel paths, and stables.
Where would visitors to your manor, what entrance would they arrive at?
It depends if they in the old days, if they were nobility, they would enter through the main grand entrance, while other lesser visitors might enter through one of the servants' entrances or a side guest entrance.
So let's say the grand entrance is
these days the grand entrance is most common.
So let's say the grand entrance is the obvious entrance.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone were to come to the door, maybe a big knocker on the door, something like that.
Yeah, the door has a big horse head knockers, and when knocked, After a few moments, one of the servants comes to the door and opens it.
Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Allbold, your servant who's pretty much ready, even though you're not quite ready. You're actually running slightly late, although you know you'll have plenty of time to make the ferry. The docks are only about a mile from the manor. He goes and answers the door, and he pulls open a big, stout, wooden, iron-banded door, and he sees a figure standing there. And so, Steve, if you want to describe what this figure looks like.
Sure. It's an older dwarf, very weather-lined face, tan, bushy white eyebrows, a white beard that is in two large, what do you call a ponytail on your face? A beardy tail? Yep.
Yes.
So that, and then a big center one that's broken into three. So there's a total of 5 beard tassel pieces that hang down. He's got a little poofy white top knot that has what appears to be a dart sort of shoved through it. A lacquered armor of some sort under a robe with padded and furred shoulders. It doesn't look like the robe itself is for temperature protection, but more a stylistic dress. A large grinning face of would you be familiar with a water horse, like mythologically?
Yeah.
All right, so it's a grinning water horse attached to his gut. A large sword hung over his back, but he looks beleaguered. He looks like there's inches of road dust on his person and his armor. His hands have been scrubbed clean, and his face has had this attempt at it. But you can tell, there's maybe even a little bit of like a twig stuck somewhere in his beard that's obviously out of place. But it looks like, as weary as he is, he did try to clean himself off as much as possible. And when he looks out past his big bushy eyebrows, there are these lake blue, crystal blue eyes that belie his age, and there is a look of intent and desperation that sit very deep in them. It's almost haunting, that look. And the door is answered as he goes to sort of rap again, and he's not pounding the door down. It's that I desperately need what's in this building sort of knock, not an obnoxious I'm a pompous ass, but like a please be there sort of knock.
Okay, so the person that answers standing before you is in his maybe early mid 40s, slender man, a goatee, well manicured goatee. If he has any sort of reflection or judgment upon your appearance, he doesn't betray that through his face. He says to you, yes.
I am seeking Master Kalen.
Yes, I'll get the master. Duke him in.
Thank you. And he stops and removes these wooden sandals, and they look uncomfortable. They're thonged through a thick sock on his foot, but there's about an inch piece of wood that is in the dead center of the arch of the foot. So instead of having a heel or a toe, there's about a 1-inch wedge that sits right in the dead center that he removes and very deftly fastens to a large traveling backpack that's on his back. And he steps in these padded leggings turned socks. They kind of run down from underneath of his pants.
By the way, I was going to say that the Sentry Hall, you see basically these 2 large sweeping staircases that go up, one on each side. There's a balcony overhead. On the floor is kind of a mosaic of some of the surrounding lands. It's kind of a map with a big compass in the center. Kind of chandelier hangs from the ceiling.
So he's definitely taking it in, and if you were to walk in on him, you might think that he's awestruck by it, but then there's that note that it looks less that he's awestruck by it and more that he is. You get a feeling that he's summing you up based off of what he can see. What type of man am I going to encounter in this house based off of what I see?
Okay, so this slender, middle-aged man, not slowly but with measured steps, closes the door. He looks at you. He gives you like a very quick sort of flick down, flick up to size you up. Wait here, please. And he strides off deeper into the manor. He finds Kaylin where? Keep in mind, you're almost getting ready to leave at this point.
I'm in my study. My desk is covered with papers. There's this huge like sacks over by the door, a bedroll, and as he sort of like comes in, I say, "Obold, socks. Where did we put the socks?"
Master Aldrich, I've already packed your socks. There is a visitor at the door for you. You can see for yourself. Yes, sir, an unexpected visitor. He said he must speak with you. He seemed rather urgent.
It's not a good time. Very well, very well. Just if you could just make sure these get down to the carriage, please. And I go kind of walking past him, and I come down the stairs, kind of rubbing my forehead, and I seem to be like kind of thinking, and speaking to myself. Okay, water. I need to get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 into 5. Yes, I'm sorry. A bit distracted. Mr. And I walk forward with my hand extended.
He sticks his hand out and shakes yours a bit further up on the wrist than perhaps a business handshake would be.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Master Kaylin. I'm Ku. I have traveled a long way to find you.
Well, you've come at a difficult time. I'm actually leaving. I hope it's nothing too pressing. I'll be back within the year, I assume, barring accidents, as we all know can happen. But in the meantime, what can I do for you? Obviously, you've come a great distance by your garb alone.
I am not exactly sure what I can do for you or what you can do for me. But
as he begins talking like really, really slow, I start to hear this clock ticking in my head, and I kind of reach into my pocket and I pull out this little pocket watch, and I wind it and put it back. Yes, go on.
I believe that you are leaving on an expedition of some sort.
Well, yes. Well, how would you know that?
I have been sent to accompany you. I think.
Well, sent by whom? Let me say you have made a loss here. Mr. Ku, was it?
Yes.
I can't imagine who'd be sending you or why you'd be here. I mean, no insult. I know nothing of you, but as you can see, I pressed for time. Who sent you, Ku?
I believe that the world or gods themselves have sent me.
Have they? Well, that's good to hear. I'm pleased. I don't really do much with deities, I'm afraid. But there are people in town who do such things, and so if you'd like, you may go speak to them, and I'm sure that they'd be more than happy to hear about your gods. What's that?
Said you are planning on heading into the desert.
Yes, I am. But
and you have already purchased 8 camels, of which you have not need but 7.
Yes, I'm sorry, but what is this? Who sent you again? You said your gods?
No,
spirits?
Not my gods. My gods.
Someone else's gods.
All of them, I believe.
All of them? Must be very important then.
I'm glad you agree. So,
well, we and meanwhile, Allbold is dragging some bags in the background behind me.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that you can hear him in the background.
I got it. Yeah.
I didn't want to interrupt.
So I am pressed for time, and to tell you the honest truth, I am short a bit of help. What are your qualifications?
I look at you questioningly.
I mean, what can you do? I mean, I don't mean to be blunt about this, but I am pressed for time, and well, I obviously wasn't expecting you, but our expedition is very dangerous, as you might imagine, and is certain skill sets required, and quite frankly, we don't want to be bringing anyone who ends up becoming more of a liability than a benefit. So, what is it you can offer to our expedition?
Well, I am very good with a sword. I am an accomplished healer, and I make good rice.
Well, rice. I don't know if I've ever had that. Is it like a soup?
Not if you do it right.
Huh. Well, to be perfectly honest, we have people who can hold their own. Although I don't know what we'll expect to find in the desert other than the small creatures and so forth. But honestly, we're looking for someone who has a bit more experience with living off the land. Let's say finding food where it is scarce, finding water where it's difficult. Perhaps climbing skills that we may encounter that sort of thing. Do you know anything of map-making perhaps, or navigation?
As you say the words "hold your own," you hear Arbol drop something in the background and
Look, I am pressed for time. Why don't you come along with me? You can ride in my carriage. We can talk on the way. How about that?
So I nod curtly at you, and then I start walking. And as we're walking, perhaps on a side table, there's a loaf of bread that your servant has forgotten for the last couple of days in his doing other things. And as we walk by, I scoop it, I put it into my hands, and I sort of like and when I turn loose of it, I set it back down. It is a pristine loaf of bread.
That's it. Did you what well, that's rather interesting talent you have. Can you do that with people?
Reheat them.
No, I mean, if they've begun to, if they break or begin to rot or fall apart, that sort of thing.
You have a strange way of asking if I can heal. Yes, both with the spirits and with herbs.
Well, I do know something of that myself, but of course, it never hurts to have another. Well, as I say, why don't you come with me? You can ride in the carriage. It's we have some time before we get there, and we can discuss it on the way. So,
pardon, Master, but we do not have much time. We should go soon if we are to make the ferry, unless we want to wait until the evening's ferry.
We're going. We have an additional guest. Do you have anything with you besides what you're wearing?
He looks down very, very forlornly. No, I have sold my mount.
I see. Well, then this way. And I point to a side door and begin walking that way.
Okay, you guys head out into a carriage. You get in a carriage, which is drawn by a couple of horses. It's not an ostentatious carriage. It's a functional one, but it seats up to 6 people comfortably anyway. And you guys take a trip through town towards the docks. As you travel, several in town recognize the wagon, and many wave at it and call out cheers to you. There is one naysayer amongst the crowd that throws a tomato at it and then kind of ducks off in the crowd.
There's always one.
Aside from that, it's mostly good wishes and stuff. And Lord Aldrich, good day, Lord Aldrich, good day, good morning, Lord Aldrich, that kind of thing. As you ride past down to the docks. When you get the docks,
relax, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
No,
when you get to the docks, you see. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, delay's a killer. So I just sort of relax as we're riding, trying to kind of think about the extra passenger for a moment, and I just kind of look out the windows and wave as they go by, almost reflexively. But most of my trip there, I'm just closing my eyes, like trying to relax.
Okay, so one thing that occurs to you is that Ku said is that you have not yet bought 8 camels. But you calculated by your notes that you would need about 8 camels.
Yeah.
It's kind of a coincidence. He knew that. Anyway, you arrive at the docks and you see both Pei and Vicus, who you instructed to meet you here, and you realize that you're about an hour late and they're waiting for you. Carriage stops and disembarks. Arbald starts taking the bags down. He's struggling with them a little bit, or at least he makes it appear as if he's struggling with them, and he's looking at Vicus.
That poor man.
I ignore the gentleman handling the stuff and look to Kalen and hold my arms out wide when I first see him, and I'll say, "Hey!"
I smile and go and embrace him, give him a couple good hits on the back. Good to see you. Good to see you. May I introduce Mr. Ku? I'm afraid that's about all I know so far. But Mr. Ku is keen to come on our expedition with us. He says that he was sent by the gods. Apparently, all of them. His condescension is sort of dripping from my lips.
Wow! And I hold my arms out really wide. I'm like, "Ku, welcome!" And I go to give him a big giant embrace. This tall, strangly elf. He's got dark hair. It's like receding back pretty far actually, and his face is pretty weather beaten, but he's got smile lines in his forehead and his cheeks and things like that. And I'm just like, "Hey, welcome!" as if I've known you for years.
Ku doesn't embrace you back. He kind of pats you, but he doesn't like shy away from it. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't even notice. This hug, and I say, Kalen, you have to see this. Pei has these maps that it's just, I don't understand them, but you have to take a look at them. It's like looking at the world, but from above. I don't think you've ever seen anything like it.
I don't know. I will have to take a look. Though we should get loaded before the.
Bong bong, ding ding ding. You see a guy standing there on the dock. She's got a big handbell. Morning ferry will be leaving. Morning ferry will be leaving for Kelna.
Right. So,
bing, bing, bing.
Let's pitch in. Ku, show us your worth. and I kind of cock my thumb to some of the supplies.
Arbald has been dragging them aboard, half carrying, half dragging.
Okay. Yeah. So I will. I'll get out or get off the carriage and put my sandals back on and go back there, and I'll help him load supplies.
Right.
You get a
I
brief
start
smile
helping.
from Albald passing when you see you helping.
I start to help, but as each item is grabbed, I'm just like my eyebrows are just like, oh, like we need all this stuff. What the? Okay.
6 gallons of molasses.
That's not even a tenth of what you need yet.
You're right.
All right, so you guys all board this ferry, which is just a big flat, wide boat. There's an oarsman. The gap between Kelna and Bethnor, the waters are very, very calm, and it's mostly just done with like a simple like paddle wheel. And so you got 4 hours to cross. You will arrive in Kelna about an hour past the noon hour. If there's anything anybody wants to say or do on that trip, go for it.
I will take another quick opportunity to talk to Ku, because although I certainly appreciate the additional set of hands, this divine mission sort of disturbs me a bit.
Sure. I'm just going to say that throughout this trip, frequently someone comes up to you and says, "Oh, Lord Aldrich, good to see you, sir." Maybe they ask you a couple of questions about what you're doing, that kind of thing.
Sign
There's
an
only
autograph.
other people on the ferry, but you could ask 24 times. They just keep cycling.
Yeah. Didn't I see you 3 guys ago?
Oh no, I think he froze.
Okay, so Pei, do you want to introduce yourself to Ku at all?
Yeah, I do. So Pei's gonna walk over to Ku and say, "All the gods, really? All of them?"
Yeah, I do not speak to all of them, but I believe it is a concern for all of them.
And what's with your armor?
How do you mean?
Well, it's all black and chipped looking.
It's not all black. This is gold and silver. This is green, but you know. No. He looks at you blankly. It is different. Made of wood and
Pei is gonna interrupt and speak to you in Dwarven, because Pei knows Dwarven, and ask you again why your armor is so strange.
because it is crafted from stone and wood, and is lacquered, and the black chips are obsidian from the volcano.
What's a volcano?
It is a mountain that spews hot rock.
Okay, well that's obviously made up.
So, if you're standing, go ahead.
I pull out a map local to my people, and so it's not on a parchment; it's on very thin wood, and it's done so that it's done inside of a circle, so the chunks of it are missing, right? Because only as big as a circle is what you could see of it, and the center point on that map is a small fishing village. And to the north and northeast of that, Rob, if I'm right, is a chain of mountains as indicated on the map, and the largest one of them is on fire, essentially on the map.
And Pei just quickly grabs this and says, This is not garbage. This is the first map that isn't garbage that I've seen in probably 2 or 3 years.
That you didn't draw.
That I didn't draw.
Well, yeah, fair enough. I kind of look over and show that is quite good.
Okay.
Did you draw this coup?
No. It is made by my grandmother.
Oh, well, clearly a very gifted woman.
Yes.
And this is that volcano you were speaking of?
Yes, it's large mountain. It has a cough inside of it.
A cough.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure I would not know what the common word for lava was.
Sure.
So he gives you his local word for it.
Yeah.
Kaylin, I would like you to make me a intelligence or history roll.
Sure. I think
Actually, let's make this just intelligence or perception instead. That makes more sense.
You know what? This is a survival
Okay.
game. So it's going to make it a fortitude check.
I died.
Roll whatever you like.
There's too much. 16.
Okay, so I'm going to say that this drawing you're looking at looks kind of similar to the destination you have in mind for your map, but the names on his map, are there names on your map there, Koo? Or is it?
Yes,
are there no
yes.
words?
No,
So the names
there
on
are
Koo's map
words.
are in Dwarven, so they
Yeah.
don't match the common human names you have, but it looks like the same spot, or at least the same area.
All right, so I pull out. I go to my stuff and I pull out one of my maps, and I kind of get down on the deck of this barge or whatever, and I kind of roll it out, and I put his kind of circle down on mine, and I begin sort of turning it to get things to line up, you know.
Yeah.
Even
It
though
looks like the area. Sorry.
I was gonna say, even though there's not the same scale, I kind of like stand up a bit and then hold it a different distance until I get it like about the right scale, and then I kind of turn it.
Yep, it looks like
Be
the area
damned.
around Lowe's stand.
I'll be damned. Say, hey, look at this, and I put the little I put the Koo's map down next to this one. Look here, this that looks like that. This corresponds to, I think, this here. What do you say?
The map Aldrich is showing you is one that you got a hold of and tweaked for him before you gave it back to him. So you've seen his map before.
Yeah.
Well, then that means that mountain that was on fire was actually supposed to be on fire, and I shouldn't have erased it.
Yeah, well.
And she pulls out some ink and quickly draws it back on fire.
Nice.
Takes out a match, sets it on.
Say, well, that's part of the reason we're doing this, isn't it? Well, thank you very much, Koo. I suppose. Why don't you hold on to this? And I hand him back roll up his stick map and hand it back to him.
No. Yeah, take it as a gift for allowing me to come with you.
Oh, well, thanks. And I take the map. This is
Okay.
my map now.
I kind of shrug. I look at him and reach it, and then and instead of when I say I'm not going to grab it, I just kind of like brush off my hand. Well, yes, he is our cartographer, so it's only right that she handle that for us. Well, in that case, welcome to the party.
I'm gonna go back to fishing.
You look over, you see Arbold. He is sitting sort of in a standing sit on one of the taller bags. He's got a small comb. He's combing his goatee, and then he's examining the contents of the comb.
I'm just gonna light my pipe, and I'll go over and stand next to him. Say,
did you need something, sir?
No. Just enjoying the Just enjoying the air. I always like the sea.
Very, very good. Comb.
If you wouldn't mind keeping an eye on this Koo fellow, I think he's all right, but he's a bit of a queer one, if you know what I mean. If you wouldn't mind just keeping an eye on him. I don't think he has any ill will towards us, but he seems a bit kind of off. And I kind of like tinker with my temple a bit.
Of course, sir. If I may be so bold, he seemed to be more eager to assist than the other ones.
Yes, and that's certainly a virtue, isn't it? And it may be as simple as significant cultural differences, but I would like you to keep your pair of eyes on him, if you might.
Yes, of course, sir. Of course.
No, thank you. As always, I don't know what I'd do without you.
So the ship pulls into port in Kelna, pretty much without fanfare. People make their way off in a pretty quick fashion, but not in a stampeding kind of way. Kelna is a much, much smaller version of Bethanor, but there are signs of bits and pieces of architectural influences from the much larger desert city of Al Rajul, the city of Ember, which is beyond that.
All right, I will start arranging to get our things offloaded. Did we already arrange like a wagon to carry our gear, or?
I'm going to say that yes, or in fact they're probably effectively cabs here you can hire. It makes sense to take you to Ember.
All right, so I'll tell Albold to Albold, why don't you go see to our cab? I'll help the others take this off. Thank you.
Of course, sir. Of course.
I hand him my coin. I hand him the coin purse for pocket money, and then I go help unload things.
Okay.
Making sure that everything is nice and neat, stacked up.
Sure. So he comes back after about 5 minutes. I have arranged travel, sir. They can take us to Ember whenever you are ready. They can accommodate all of us and this baggage.
Rob, what time of day is it?
So the trip took 4 hours. So it is going to be about noon, I'm going to say.
Okay.
Something like that.
So we have plenty of time to make it to Ember before nightfall.
You could probably make it to Ember by supper time.
Okay. Then yes, that's what we'll do. I'm assuming there's no rumors of any kind of dangers along the road from here to Ember, or
not really.
I know I've been there a few times, but
I won't say not unheard of, but it's a very common route. Lots of travel.
Yeah. Gotcha.
If there's any hazards, it's wagon ruts and stuff like that.
All right. So I'll have him. I'll bring over the wagon immediately. Then we'll load it up.
Okay. So you guys all board the wagon and you set out on your trip to Ember, Al Rajul, the city of Ember. The trip is largely uneventful. There are lots of people here and there. As you travel, though, you can see that the trees thin out and kind of give way to grassland and grass that's kind of fighting sand in spots. The grass hasn't lost the battle yet, but it's starting to lose the battle. Then just about a little over 4 hours into the journey, the sun's starting to set. Not quite yet, but already with the dusk, you can see a kind of a glow from just over the hill, the near horizon, long before you can actually see the city. And when you crest the hill, you can see why the city of Ember has its name, because it's the whole city, the buildings, the roads, It seems to be everywhere. It seems to sparkle with an ember kind of color to it, almost like a faint glow. If it's reflecting the low sunlight, it's doing so pretty much everywhere in the city. So, and this glow, it's not super bright, but it's bright enough that you can kind of see it in the dimming light before you can even see the city.
I kind of lean forward and I kind of nod to the other, say, I never get tired of that sight. Isn't it gorgeous?
Okay, you guys arrive in the city of Ember. You know, Kaylin, that when you go to purchase your supplies, it's going to take them a little bit of time to get them ready. You're not just asking for strictly, off the shelf stuff. So you might want to see to that before you get too settled in. Just an idea. Like, just know that it's going to take some time between you placing the order and receiving the order.
Right. Well, and because of the importance of it, I'm going to take care of that myself. But I have Allbold to say, Allbold, if you could arrange our rooms for us. How about the Blind Traveler? That's one of my. I've always liked that one. I'm assuming it's still in the business. If not something on par with that here.
Yes. I still have your coin purse from before, sir.
Excellent.
Thank
you so much. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Gentlemen, ladies, or lady, there's only one. Our gear should be fine here for the moment. Why don't we go see about supplies? Mr. Koo, you obviously don't have anything with you, but we can get you some gear should you require it. Mr. Koo, is there anything you need other than the obvious food, water?
No, I have most of my gear for traveling.
Ah, good. Well, then I suppose the general store is in order. So so we'll head to the nearest, or at least the closest one I know about.
Well, this is a large city, and there are many to choose from. But if you recall from Morse's letter, he recommended a place.
Oh, that's right.
To get your supplies.
That's right, he did. So, I'll dig out my letter and sift through it. Which
okay.
I don't have anything.
That's okay. So he had mentioned in his letter a place called Osar's Supplies, and he also mentioned that Osar haggling is common in this part of the world, and he mentioned that Ogar liked to weave tall tales about how difficult it was for him to give discounts, but the game was sort of not to discount his stories, but sort of counter them with tales of misery and poverty of your own, and eventually you'll reach a price. So that was Morse's advice to you.
All right. Yeah. Then that's where we'll head. People can come with me or not. It's up to them. I said, well, you're welcome to go with Allbold to the inn. He'll get you set up. Or if anyone wishes to come along to purchase items of their own, please come with me.
I have no interest in spending all my time inside of an inn.
Well, then that's one.
As you're walking, deciding whether they're going to go with you or not, you see someone that you recognize. His name is Miraz. He is a half-orc, male, black hair, groomed very, very neatly. You know him as actually one of the emirs of Al-Rajul. Al-Rajul is ruled by a council of merchants, and he is amongst the top merchants. He's a casual friend of yours. He's probably, you've probably had talks with him on almost governmental related things, but sort of become casual friends over the years. You've met him about 3 or 4 times. You've shared a few meals with him, that sort of thing. So he approaches, says, "Oh, Lord Aldrich, it is good to see you."
What was his name again?
His name is Miraz.
Miraz. Good to see you as always. You're looking well.
What brings you to my city?
Well, we are going on an adventure. I say without hiding my enthusiasm too much. I say we're heading out across the desert tomorrow.
Ah, you'll be in Al Rajul for tonight.
Oh, indeed. It would make
Then
little
I
sense
insist
to.
you stay with me as my guests.
Oh,
You can tell me of your trip.
well, we had just
I rarely get
arranged.
to leave.
Well, we had just arranged.
Tish-tosh, I insist. I am much more comfortable. My place will be much more comfortable than any inn. And I have servants aplenty.
Then I would be happy to accept. We'll have to make that arrangement. Where is your? Do I know where his house is?
You've been there a couple of times, but
Okay.
he has a servant with you, Mopak. He can show you if you need. That's his servant, his sort of manservant.
Okay. Well, I asked. I'm sorry. Would your man be able to go catch up with Albold and before he spends our money on a room? Then I hadn't expected to see you here.
You surprised me, my friend. Are you funds running low?
No. But I've learned I don't like to spend money on something that I don't need. Call it thrifty,
no fear.
if you will.
No fear. I will see that should your manservant have purchased rooms already, you will be refunded. Do not give it another thought.
Yeah, you're far too kind. Then I happily accept, and we'll be there. Shortly after dinner time.
And where are you headed now?
Supplies. Have to put it in order. You understand? They can't simply just manifest things out of thin air.
Yes. I recommend Osars. Mention my name. You won't be doing him any favors, but you'll be doing yourself one.
I will do just that. In fact, that's where I was headed. I'm glad to hear that I was not misled astray. Well, in that case, we'll see you in about an hour.
Very good. Well packed. He walks off.
All right. So to make sure everything gets done quickly, I kind of quicken my pace to get to there and put our order in.
Do you guys want to say or do anything? Just jump in.
Does everyone here have a servant?
No, not everyone.
I don't have any servants.
Those who can, most who can afford to do, I suppose. Although to be honest, Albold is more like family than servant. He practically raised me more than my father ever did. May he rot in hell.
You should not speak poorly of your ancestors.
He's not dead yet, but it's not for.
But we're hoping. I see.
Not for lack of trying.
He said he's not dead yet.
A father that neglects his son is like a gardener that allows weeds to take root.
I suppose, though. Mine was more like a gardener who not only neglected the garden, but even would, when anything good would start to grow, he would go out there with a stick and beat it into the ground.
So you are full of bad growth.
I'm full of bad feelings, but I'm much better now. I don't like talking about my father. Perhaps we should go see about this. And
My father was a good man.
good. And what did he do for a living?
He was trying. Ponders for a second. General. Is that the right word?
He ran a general store.
No. In charge of troops, army.
Oh, indeed, a military man. That's quite impressive. Was there much war where you came from, or?
Not much.
We're saying this while we're walking, by the way. Just fine.
You're human,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And Pays, or I'm sorry, DBJ. You're Elven, right?
Elf.
All right. So
you full of?
I thought DBJ was full elf.
Is he
Full
full
elf.
Yeah.
Full
All right.
elf.
So
Pays half
I gesture over to DBJ and then to myself. We live much longer than. And he points at you.
Well, I suppose that all depends
So
on how your life goes, doesn't it?
yes, but in my father's lifetime, there has been war.
That's quite a long time. I'm pleased your country has enjoyed some peace. As all should.
On the surface.
Okay, you guys arrive at Osar Supplies. It's a very big, broad tent. It's got colorful banners and bits of cloth hanging around it to try and attract attention. You can see that behind the tent, it's kind of a larger sort of open area. There's pens where there's camels. You can see barrels and crates and all kinds of things.
All right. Walk through, push the door curtain back and step in to the cavernous area.
Okay, so you encounter a swarthy, slightly overweight man. He's wearing a light sort of, I'm not quite sure what you call it, it's a white kind of hat that hangs over, but with the sort of this backing part cloth that hangs down.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what you call those. Anyway, he comes up to you. He's wearing his sort of white or off-white robes. Musahib, how can I help you?
Well, I reach into my little bag on the side and I pull out a scroll of paper. Say, I need a supply list filled. If you could, why don't you have a look, see if there's anything in here that might be a problem. Basic supplies. We're heading across the desert, so obviously water. We need feed. I kind of glance.
Pardon, sir. Did you say you were headed across the desert?
Indeed, yes.
This is a very brave trip you are making.
Well,
dangers many in the desert. But fear not. Osar can supply whatever you might need.
I say, excellent.
How many are going?
I kind of go on the list. I say, well, there'll be 5 of us, including
yes,
my servant.
Yes.
And we'll need, and I kind of glance over at Ku, 8 camels.
Yes, at least 6 you'll need. 8, perhaps 10 to be safe.
I think 8 will be sufficient. We'll be for our party, we're going for speed rather than certainty.
And the food for the camels, I can provide you with the dry food or the wet food. The wet food is more heavy, but the camels do enjoy it more, and it makes them much happier. It is a little bit more money.
Yes, I understand. I'm afraid the money's not the biggest issue. The weight is the issue, though. It's. Have you ever crossed the desert yourself?
No, sir, but I have calculated many such expeditions before. I assure you, I am an expert at this. Much experience. I can tell you pretty much down to the camel food what you will need.
Excellent.
Yes.
I don't doubt it.
A moment, please. He goes over to like an abacus kind of thing. He's like, and he writes something down. Writes something down. Yes, Musahib. I think I can get you everything you need. This will be food for the camels, water. The camels will, of course, be watered when you acquire them. These are good, solid camels.
Naturally.
Food and water for the 5 persons on your trips. Creams and powders, salves to protect against the sun, of course. Extra clothing, things of that nature.
You see, there are a few other odd items on the list. There's healing sachets, that sort of thing. I also have some personal items on here. Some hookah blends, you just see here on this part of the list.
Worry not. If it is to be found in town, Osar will find for you.
Well, and that is dry.
Very widely.
And that is dry camel food.
That is. Do you wish camels to be happy and peppy, and they will spit a little less if you give them the wet food. It is a little bit more expensive.
As I say, the price isn't the issue. It's the weight. We'll go with the lighter feed. Thank you for your offer, though. I appreciate.
Yes, of course. Well, whatever Sahib requires. Yes, Osar can provide.
Excellent. And so, how much would we'll be looking at for this?
Yes. Osar has made some calculations. As I said, Sahib, I have done this many times. I estimate about 10,000 gold for everything you require.
10. My.
I'd like you to make me let's say a wisdom roll.
All right. 15 roll, 17.
Okay, so in your estimate, that's about twice what it's worth.
Yeah.
Okay.
I say, I think you might have miscalculated. See, I only need the 200 pounds here, not the 400. I know it can look like that. My Allball's writing isn't what it used to be. I think he needs glasses, to say the truth. But no, I'm sorry, that's 200. So I was looking more like maybe 5,000 gold for all of this. You see?
No, Sahib, you must trust Osar. I have done this many times. I know what you will need, and I could not possibly go so low a price. My children would not eat. You perhaps
but if you get high, then we don't eat. You see, that's the problem. But if we look again at the list, you see, these can't be more than what a copper each at the most. I mean, really, for this food. I mean, I'm not saying it's not good. Don't get me wrong, but it's not exactly.
You require these camels to stay alive. You need them to be strong and able to do the tasks you do. Please, sir, you're taking the clothes from my back. I can go perhaps 8,500.
Oh, look, I understand. Maybe you don't expect us to return from the desert, but we do intend to return, and I assure you that we'd like to keep coming back here. But so perhaps we could do a little bit better than that. I'm thinking maybe 6,000, and and I'll tell you what else we can do. Part of the reason we're going out there is an expedition to map some of the areas not seen before. How would you like to be able to sell maps to your travelers accurate maps of the desert and beyond? What would that be worth to you?
Yes, I can see the value in such a map. Perhaps if you make these purchases here today, when you come back in the future time, then Osar can offer you something in exchange for the maps. At that time, perhaps a fine discount from his store.
But if we have to skimp on our food and water just to get across, we may not make it.
No, skimp. No, sir. No, Sahib. No. I have calculated many times for many groups. I can tell you, you have the water you will need, the water requirements you will need, and food you will need. Yes. Trust us, sir. I have done this many times. Gives
Very
a big broad smile.
So 6,000 then?
No, Sahib. No, I must be able to remain in business so I can supply for people around here. Perhaps 7,200.
Hey,
Have you seen? Yeah. One moment. Yes.
So
what was the name of our friend who sent us over here again?
Oh, that's right. I completely forgot. Although I act as if I didn't. Miraz.
Didn't Miraz say if we don't get a good deal here, we can head over to the other place?
He did. I really didn't want to name drop. It gets awkward if I mention my friend Miraz, and I say we're discussing loud enough so he can hear.
Okay, so you hear him say, "Son of a dog."
I'm sorry. What? No, we don't need any dogs. Thank you. Look, I know Miraz said we should come here, but at the same time, I mean, he'll want to know that the prices here are just unreasonable for us. We can't afford to do this. I mean, we have to have money when we get to the other side. We have other things we have to buy. I mean, it's just not.
Sahib, I have good news for you.
Oh.
I have good news for you. It would seem there was a bug or something, perhaps, making this number, which looked like a different number. I can do for 6,200.
Oh, good. I'm glad we sorted that out. That sounds
as am I. I would have felt low should I have overcharged such a valued customer as yourself.
Wow, and believe me, we will remember this when we return. And I was serious. We could on our promise to discuss the selling of accurate maps in your establishment for your patrons. But
excellent. I look forward to this opportunity.
Well, then we'll be back at in the morning at dawn to pick up our gear and beasts. If you can have them loaded up properly,
I will have them. The camels will be watered and fed. Your gear will be loaded aboard. If I may suggest, Sahib.
Yep.
You would wish to leave early. The sun gets hot.
Yeah. Oh yes, we plan on leaving at first light. If you could, and I hand them an extra 10 gold, I say, we have some gear down at the dock. If you could send a couple of your men down to bring it and load it on the beasts as well, we would appreciate that. We're going to be, if you need to talk to us, by the way, we'll be dining and spending the evening with Councilman Miraz if you need to reach us at all.
Yeah, Amir. Yes, of course. I will see to your gear. All will be ready for you in the morning, Sahib.
Sorry. Excellent doing business with you. And I turn and I pay him obviously, and then we turn and go.
Good day.
Very good.
All right, so you guys are gathered outside, making your way over to the Amirs.
Yeah, we'll make sure we collect all our people, including Albold, and as soon as we're all together, we'll head over to the Amirs.
Okay. You reach the Amir's house. It is a larger house than most in the area, but it is a single floor dwelling, although rather sprawling. It's not nearly the size of your manor overall, but it's a pretty large building. Notably, it has some well-manicured gardens and even grass growing around it, something few houses here do have. It would be a waste of water. When you get to the door, Mopak, Mazur's servant, lets you in, and he brings you into a welcoming, very light, a lot of light coming in, and reflective light. There's also some candles burning as it's starting the sun setting, and it's a low table. The table is about 2 feet high, and there's cushions, very big, soft cushions on the floor. There is a platter out, several platters out rather, cheeses, olives, kebabs on a stick, onions, and even lemons and grapes and things like that.
All right. I'll go in and take off my hat, brush off some of the dust, and hang it on the peg nearby. I say, well, make yourselves at home. This is the
Yes.
Custom.
Amir Miraz comes out. Indeed, be comfortable. I do not know your friends.
Oh, I'm sorry. Allow me to introduce. This is my cartographer, Pei. This is. I forgot the name. Hang on. This is Vicus. Of course, you know my servant Allbold, and this is Mr. Koo. He's not from around here, but he is. He knows something of the region we're heading to. So, something of some inside information.
When Maris greets you, he doesn't use the handshake in the tradition of Aldris people, but rather he, with his hands behind his back, he gives a sort of short bow and nod in your direction. He sits cross-legged on a very large cushion, and he gestures for you to do the same. Coming out from the kitchen area, both Allbold and Mopak are carrying large metal canisters, which they set down with some weight, and it's chilled wine.
All right. Yeah. So I'll start partaking immediately.
Okay. Mr. Koo, I do not recognize the place where you've come from. Many people come through my city, and I get to talk to people from around the world, but you're dwarves I've seen before, but not dressed in the garb you wear. Perhaps you would share something of your homeland with me, that you might expand my education further.
Yes. I do not know what you already know, but far to the north, a large collection, grouping, mountains, a range of mountains with a volcano. I'm from a small lake village near there. It has been a very long time since we have had much interaction down here. Yeah. My people are metal and stone workers. We know of the areas down here, and we have some maps of it, but we do not travel down here much.
You say your people are stoneworkers, and yet this armor you wear, and he reaches out and just kind of lightly touches it. It is made of wood, and these symbols upon it, those are not random symbols. They have meaning, purpose for you.
So, my honor, it is made of cloth and wood, and of stone, ceramic, and of obsidian. The wood is rare. It only grows on the highest peaks of the suns. And he reaches down, he slides out a plank of the wood. It's about 1.5 inches tall and maybe 2.5, 3 feet long. I mean, it covers his girth, and it's flexible. And when he lays it down on the table, it has this etched scene in it, and that scene is an obvious dwarf with a sword similar to the one he has with him, who is standing in a doorway of something that might be a fort, and there are 3 large creatures with large vicious clubs, and behind it, if anyone speaks Dwarven, it basically summarizes a battle in which a single dwarf held off 3 giants long enough for his comrades to escape back up a pass. This was my great uncle. Each of these pieces are symbolic of an achievement of my family. One day I will add my own.
He nods. He looks at the rest of you, and then he fixes his gazes upon Kalen. You are making a trip across the desert. Is that correct?
Indeed it is, yes.
May I ask why? It is very dangerous. The desert, it is harsh and cursed. It is a place of much death and little life.
That is true, but I've spent so much of my time reading of places, distant lands, distant peoples, and I've longed to see them myself. And while my father was around, it just never seemed possible. But since I've been able to free myself from my obligations and bonds, and I want to see the world. You remember Morse, right?
Of course.
Yeah, and I know you met him a few times, but he was a great inspiration to me, and I need to be out there. And we all have our own reasons, of course. Pei here is a cartographer, and she is bent on correcting many of the errors in many of the maps that we now know. Pei, if you would perhaps show our host.
He nods in your direction. He says, map making is a skill I have respect for.
Well, I appreciate that. I aim to be the greatest map maker. I'm going to map the entire world so that no longer people get lost and die in the wilderness because their map was inaccurate.
A noble cause.
Well, it shall also prove to be lucrative, I'm sure.
He smiles at that. He reaches down, he takes a bit of food. The kebab is sort of like spiced lamb on a stick. He picks up an olive, eats it. He looks at Vicus. And why do you risk your life in the desert? You are aware how dangerous this can be.
Without really looking up, I've got one hand has more food pieces in it than he can really hold, using it like a plate, and he's just kind of like stuffing his cheeks with more food like a squirrel. basically barely chewing one piece before he sticks another piece in. And he's, but just still looking at the food without looking up, he says, Kalen does not, think the way I do about how the world works. It has no rhyme or reason. It is controlled by the gods, and the cursed desert is one of these places where the gods have held sway over this area for millennia. It is nothing that you wish to hear. It's about those who have passed on, who have failed to consume food and drink, fall into the sands just to rise again, to chase after those same things for eternity. And my people, from what I can remember, they roamed these lands and created vast temples and sarcophagi to hold the restless spirits in them so that they could pass on, their souls could pass on safely. I hope to reunite with them, but I fear that the more I am right, the more dangerous this trip will become.
He gives you a sort of a weak smile. He looks at I think perhaps you will have to keep a close eye on this one.
So whatever we find out there, we can either confirm the worst or lay these rumors to rest for once and for all. Either way.
Rumors are many. Even Al Rajul has rumors. I am getting weary, and I have a full day tomorrow, as do you. You would want to leave at first light, I would think.
Indeed.
Rooms
So
are
we'll
prepared for
before
you.
first light.
Be comfortable. Should you need for anything, you may call out, and Mopac will bring it to you. Refreshments and food has been left in your room, along with clean blankets.
Thank you. You're hospitable as always. May your descendants be never-ending.
Good luck on your trip, Lord Aldroth.
Thank you.
The rooms you're taken to are clean straw mats. There's a pitcher of cooled water there. There's probably like maybe a plate of olives or some bits of spiced eggplant, something like that. And it's very, very comfortable.
As I was going to say, as Morse comes in to bring me some of my last things for the night, and to ask if he's done for the evening, I say yes.
As who comes in? Your servant or his?
Yeah,
servant?
yeah. All both.
Okay, you called him Morse.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking. My bad. So yeah. So when he comes in, I say yes. You're done for the evening. Thank you so much for your help as always. All bold. And I kind of lower my voice, say,
Sir?
Do you think I'm doing the right thing?
He kind of hesitates. I believe Sir is doing what Sir wants to do. It is not my place to judge the rightness or wrongness of it.
Oh, Bold, you've known me for my entire life. I know it's not your place, or it wasn't. But I'm asking you, man to man. I mean, you know Morse. You know of his letter. He wished to dissuade me from this as folly. I can't.
Sir, I would follow you and protect you to my last.
I know.
If I am to offer my opinion, it would be that the risks of crossing this desert are not minor. They are, and the gain, the reward for succeeding in such a trip, it does not seem sufficient to me.
But can I turn back now?
I fail to see why you couldn't. I suppose we'll have a surplus for some time and could sell off the camels.
Yeah. Well, it just calls to me. I can't explain it. I feel I'll lose my mind if I sit in that manor one more day, staring out windows at lawns and gardens and sipping tea and drinking wine.
It is true, sir. You had several years of strife with your father before this role. You were not free of duties enough to be able to go, and the time is right for that. And if I may correct my earlier statement, I would say that we do know that this trip is possible. We know of two, at least, who have made the journey before, although not without cost. Both your Uncle Morse and prior to him, the famed explorer Artemis Hale.
Well, I suppose our path is before us. I only hope we've learned enough from those other two explorers to lessen our risk, but I suppose we'll find out. Thank you.
Very good, sir.
Get some sleep.
He leaves. If you guys want to do anything tonight, say so. Otherwise, we're going to jump ahead to the morning.
Bay is going to... Go ahead.
Sorry. Before settling in for the night, I pull a small holder. I guess you could call it's a small stone item with tiny holes in it that holds incense, and I light one in a corner, and face the corner, and just offer a prayer for our safe travels.
Who are you making this prayer to?
Say again?
Who are you making this prayer to? Or who are you asking to give blessing upon this expedition from?
It is my belief that the gods have ignored this cursed desert. It is a trial for mankind, and so I'm hoping that they, instead of turning their backs to this place with no life, that maybe one of them reaches out to us when we truly need it.
So you're setting this out like as a broad prayer to all gods, then?
That is correct.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
You get no indication one way or another whether they will respond or heard you. Usual. All right. So does anyone else want to do anything this evening?
Pei is going to ask Vicus if it's so hot here because of the rocks, or what the deal is, because it is unbearably hot. And it's nighttime, so she doesn't understand how it can be so hot.
No. You haven't seen hot yet. Do you have a response for that, Vicus? Vicus is silent. He refuses to answer you.
The weather, the temperature here, to me, and this is out of character. I never noticed a difference. I'm not sure why she's uncomfortable. It's
about 10 degrees Fahrenheit normal or warmer here than, say, Kelna or Bethnor average.
Oh, it's even colder where she's from.
Yeah. All right. So morning comes.
Mhm.
Mopak tells you apologetically that Mazir makes his apologies and he had to dash off to business. But he sees that you get some sort of morning breakfast, probably like chilled goat milk and maybe some sort of spiced spiced oatmeal.
Okay. We'll take that quick, I guess, and head out immediately.
When you, he also gives you a package, which he says was a gift from Mazir. I'll get to the contents in a moment. When you get to Osir's, he has all the basic supplies you needed, all the clothing, all the food, all the water, all the camels.
Mm-hmm.
But, and he was able to get you some hookah blends, but only the non-magical variety. And he apologizes that there were no magical varieties that he could find in stock anywhere in town.
Yeah.
However, inside the package that Mazir gave you, you find two blends of healing, two of the healing blend hookah tobaccos and 6 of the night blend tobaccos.
All right. So
so the healing blend does, So this would be explained or known to you. You've probably dealt with them before. I'll just look them up. The healing blend heals 2d4 when you smoke it, and the night blend. What does the night blend do? I'm looking it up again. Sorry. It gives you advantage on what? Perception.
Yeah.
Oh no! So I'm sorry. It causes you or your exhaustion to return at twice the normal rate if you lose like levels of exhaustion. My bad.
But you're not easy to wake up. You really sleep.
That's right. Makes you sleepy. So you have a very solid sleep. So you smoke it before bed, and it's really good for curing exhaustion.
Yeah.
So there we are. The sun has is just barely crested the horizon. There are 8 camels laden. They're watered and they're kind of stomping their feet a little bit, spitting from time to time, looking about.
Yep. And just to let these guys know, basically the food and water are kind of divided up pretty evenly amongst the camels. So there's like each camel has like 2 like little wooden barrels, 10-gallon wooden barrels of water on each one. Each one has like, they basically equivalent to like 25 rations. So they're all kind of spread out amongst the group. And then each person's personal gear is on a particular, camel that they set up, which we arranged ahead of time.
Okay, so you guys can feel free to jump in and do anything during this time, but I'm going to kind of fast forward a little bit.
Yeah.
If you want to do something, just speak up. You guys depart from the city of Ember aboard your little expedition, a column of camels moving along a road. There isn't very much traffic traveling west out of Ember, very little. While again, there's some desert, there is enough patches of scrub and little ponds and things like that, that the camels, you don't need to use up any of the supplies for camels for them to feed.
Right.
For the 2 days it takes you to get from Ember to a small town next to a lake, a small town called Rim next to a lake. One thing that stands out to you here, Pei, is that the lake that's drawn on your map that's next to this town of Rim is much, much smaller than actually is depicted on the map. This map is very old, or that lake was never drawn right in the first place.
Or perhaps it's gotten smaller over time.
I quickly assumed that it was just drawn poorly. Has there been like mice in the grass?
Not really, not here. Not since you left Ember. This grass is kind of sandy. It's grass growing out of sand kind of thing.
Lots
like
of little
little
scrub.
lizards or any small
sorry?
things that I said, like, are there little lizards?
Sure, I'm sure there would be. Sure. I'm sure
Excellent.
there would be little lizards.
So my owl Phaedric can hunt and eat lizards.
Your what can what?
My owl Phaedric
Okay.
can hunt
Okay.
lizards.
That's cool. Yes, he absolutely can. You just haven't mentioned him in game before now, I don't believe.
No, there
So,
has not a lot of opportunity.
That's fine. So while traveling, at some point between Ember and Rim over the 2 days, Pei breaks out an owl and sends it off to feed from time to time.
It actually just swoops down out of nowhere because it's actually been following us, but it was really uncomfortable around new people, so it didn't want to come down until we'd been around for a while.
Okay. When you get to Rim, it's a fairly small town. There aren't a lot of, it's not like there's a lot of beggars, but there's a whole lot of people on the street that come up to you and are trying to sell you anything and everything. It's annoying. It's constant. You guys get something to eat at a local establishment and you camp just outside in tents. And you depart the town, headed towards the last outpost. Halfway there, you pass a even tinier town, really like a little mining hamlet known as Slate. And when you approach this town, it just stinks of sulfur. There's a sulfurous reek belying what they're mining there. The people there are pretty dirty and filthy and smelly, but they seem almost like hard workers. You spend a fairly uneventful night there, and then you travel on until finally the road comes to an end. And the road comes to an end at a stone building that's unlike a lot of the rock around here, which is turned white or almost white by weather. This stone building is a dark gray, and close examination can show it's been pitted by little zephyrs of sand over the years. It's really just one building. It's a circular stone building that's half above the ground and half in the ground. And in fact, the door to enter the place is kind of a set of stairs that's dug into the dirt. This is like the last place you can stop before you head into the cursed desert proper. I'm going to show you guys.
Is it big enough to bring our camels down and in, or is there a place to leave them right outside? Or
no, you'll have to leave them outside, but there are lean-tos if you wish.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about right here. You guys can see that.
Yep.
You traveled.
Nice.
Cool.
Okay, so that's where you are. You're outside this last outpost, this single gray circular stone building sticking out of the ground. And beyond that, you can see the expanse of rolling, not too high dunes yet, but just rolling sand, just waves and waves and waves of sand as far as you can see.
Well, I'll make sure we see to the camels. I don't think I've ever been here before, right?
No, you've never been here. No, this is much further than you've ever been. This place you've heard of this place, and it was on a map.
Mm-hmm. Was there any mention of any water here, or is that like any old hand-dug wells or anything like that I remember of?
You don't know of any wells here, but looking about, you can see a stone well not far from the building. It is made of not the same material as the building, but rather stacked rocks.
Yeah, so it looks like just a hand-dug well kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll go over and I'll kind of get on my knees and my all fours, and I'll put my head into the bit and kind of see if I can smell any water down there.
You can, but you it's far enough into the darkness that you can't see it. Fortunately, there's a rope and bucket winch set up that you could possibly use to retrieve water.
Okay, I'll call Allbold over, and he and I will get as much spend some time getting the camels as much water as they can drink, just to kind of top them off.
Okay, I'm going to have everyone make me constitution rolls.
Sure.
You've spent a few days traveling under hot sun so far, or so just one constitution roll each.
Okay.
To see if it's affected you yet. And then when you leave, it's going to start hitting you in earnest.
11.
Okay. Just call them out.
Pay got a 9. She's been bitching about how hot it is the whole time.
Wow. Vicus got a 6.
Okay. So you have a very mild sunburn from the few places on you that were exposed to the sun. It's not enough to really blister anything, but it's enough that you notice it. Sort of get that pulling kind of sensation on your skin, you know. And Koo.
15 for Koo.
You're fine, though you're noticing heat. It's not impairing you yet.
Okay.
All right, so you guys are outside this place. It takes some time to haul up by bucket enough water to feed the camels. They drink a lot of water. Like each camel would drink several buckets worth.
No, that's kind of what I was thinking. So maybe I'll enlist some of the others. We'll kind of trade off, you know, after a little while, and we just want to get them all watered so that they have, you know, and then then in the morning maybe we can top off our own, you know, supplies.
Yeah. So
Okay.
So when it comes to time for Koo to do this, I'm going to strip off my armor. A, it's not really designed for pulling buckets of water up, and B, it's hot. So when he does, you'll notice everyone's familiar with like the Yakuza style tattoos, like where they're like full back and arms and chest.
Yeah,
he is very, very much, and they're vibrant colors, and it's like scenes of, you know, like the volcano, of water horses, of a small fishing village with boats out in the lake. You know, it's all sort of different iconography all over him. But yeah, he'll go out there and just start hauling up these buckets of water while sort of singing, throat singing in that Mongolian style, if you're familiar with that, to himself as he does this. He has experience in a forge, so this type of heat, when he's only doing one monotonous task, isn't as oppressive to him as the travel has been, right? Because that's a very different style of weathering the heat. So this, you know, he almost seems a little bit, pardon the pun, in his element.
Gotcha.
But only because he's stripped down.
Okay, Pei, could you make me a charisma roll, please?
I absolutely can. Should it be persuasion?
No, just straight up charisma.
+3 is 16.
Okay, so when you see this these tattoos on Koo's back, particularly you notice the part of the tattoo that's like a sailboat, and it shows fishermen around water, and under this hot environment, you start feeling some longing for home, or at least you're not so crazy about being here right now. The sun's hot and beating down, and there's a vision of cool water that's not cooling you at all.
Oh yeah, I'm super getting homesick already. It's hot, it's dry. I'm used to like a cold wetness. There aren't any trees here. It's really, really ugly. The desert is just unbelievably ugly.
So about that time you're having that thought, Koo kind of looks back over his shoulder at you, and it is amazing how the world can be beautiful in so many different ways, is it not?
While you guys are...
agree.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
As I said, Mike says, I agree. While he's pulling a sash off of his his body. He doesn't wear any armor. It's just layers of different wraps of linen or canvas on his body, and he takes one that's just basically been holding his pouch and such, and he takes it off. And as water is being brought up from the well, he just unceremoniously just dunks it in there to get it nice and wet and wraps it around the top of his head so that the water can like drip down on his face. And he's like, he says, the desert is it's quite beautiful. Each day it changes. The sun shines upon it for miles, and it's like a diamond. It's it takes your breath away.
It is.
I can't.
It is magical. Magical to think that all the sand at one point was stone or mountains, and now this is.
You guys, all through your passive perception, notice a figure standing near the stone building, looking at you as well. He is a human. He's probably about, I'm sorry, a tiefling. He's probably about 50-ish or 60-ish. His skin, the red, normal red color of his skin has been kind of baked and faded. He's got lots of cracks and weather marks. It's obvious he spent tons and tons of time in the sun. His horns, every little crack and scratch in his horns is obvious from its dryness.
Are there a lot
when
of
he looks at you,
yes.
So the population in this area is pretty diverse in terms of races. If I had to give some weight, it would be there'd be a little bit higher numbers of dwarves, tieflings, and half-orcs, which are very civilized.
So tieflings aren't uncommon. Like this isn't gonna freak us out or anything. Okay.
Correct. However, perhaps you didn't know anyone lived here. Anyway, he's standing there and he's looking at when he opens his mouth to speak, you can see that he's missing several teeth. He has black hair, a little bit of black hair between his horns, but it's greasy and just kind of hanging down. Probably not a lot of opportunity to bathe out here.
Yeah.
Is it your intention to drink my well dry? How many camels do you wish to fill from it?
8.
Yes, 8, as you see. Good day, sir. We had no idea that this place was that anyone else was staying here.
Then
we
that
had heard of
is
this
your
outpost.
excuse for such rudeness. You did not even ask if you could help yourself to my well. He's squinting
No,
at you.
and indeed that was a social faux pas on our part. Well, then let us recompense you for this slight. Perhaps you could share our food with you.
Yes, but it is too hot out here. Come inside.
Definitely.
The camels
Absolutely.
can maybe find in the lean-to.
Yes. Let's go with it. So
It's way too hot.
He turns. He doesn't even see if you're following, and he just kind of goes down the stairs, which sort of go around the building and sort of down to the ground.
I kind of look back at the others and I gesture them to finish watering the
Hay is
the
gone.
camels and
Hay is
I'll
already
go,
left.
okay.
You're right on the guy's tail? Yeah, let me get to that indoors.
Yeah, it's hot. Let's go.
Well, I gestured them to finish it up, and I'll kind of keep this guy occupied, and I'll follow him down as well. Not quite as quickly,
Okay.
but
Okay. Whenever you guys get inside, you find that the place is it's fairly roomy under there. It should be enough room for the 6 of you, him included.
Mhm.
And but it is also there's several odors there. There's some spicy food odors, sure, but there's also some BO odors and things like that. This place isn't the cleanest. It's kind of grimy and stuff in places. It's also not very tidy. There's clothes, dirty clothes. kind of here and there.
I take out my pipe and my strongest herb, and I fill the bowl. I say, sir, do you smoke?
Yes.
Oh well.
Yes.
Then perhaps we could share a hookah tonight if you'd like.
Yes. Let's do that.
Excellent.
He sort of has a way of tilting his head when he looks at you and squinting, even though he's not far from you. He no longer has the sun in his eyes.
I kind of shout over my shoulder toward the entrance and say, "Obold!"
It's not likely the sound of your voice carried through the stone door, and yet shortly thereafter, Arbold shows up.
I say, could you unpack our hookah? We're going to share a smoke with our lovely host.
You can see that the sweat has made Arbold's clothes stick to him. His balding pate is kind of wet with sweat, and yet his goatee is still pretty clean and well kept. Seems to be unmarred by the rest of him, or like the rest of him. Very good, sir. And he goes back to start unloading your gear off the camels. Sit anywhere. Does not matter.
Thank you.
Pei is going
He goes
to
over
clean off a spot.
Sure.
Maybe even use prestidigitation a little bit. Make sure it's nice and clean before she sits down.
Okay. He grabs a cork jug off a little stand. He offers it to you.
And how long have you lived here?
A long time, quite a while, many years. You might even say too long.
You might. And
why are you going to the desert? Are you mad? Is it madness? Madness that takes you there? It is something else, isn't it? Treasure, pursuit of treasure. You don't know.
Our greatest treasure is knowledge.
I can tell.
Our greatest treasure is knowledge. We seek knowledge, which is why I enjoy meeting folks like yourself here.
Knowledge. Do you know what you risk? Do you have any concept of what you're in store for out there? I don't think so.
Well, we know a bit. Say, just out of curiosity, some time ago, this would have been I think it was, what would it have been, years ago now? There's an older gentleman, and I described Morse to him, and I say, did he by any chance visit with you?
Everyone who goes into the desert passes by here, and I remember them all. Do you know how I remember them all? Because not too many are foolish enough to do so.
You use phonic tools to...
He's probably dead.
To remember their names? Well, in fact, I did receive a letter from him a short time ago. So, in this case, I'm glad to say that he's not.
Very lucky, very lucky. Do you know what you will face out there? Do you have any real idea?
Well, as someone who's wise in such knowledge...
This is no ordinary desert. It is sprawling and vast. It will take days to cross. This is a very apotheosis of desert. It is the ultimate desert, a desert of extremes, a desert of all possibilities of desert. There is no type of desert in the world that is not found out there, and all of them can kill you.
That's what we've been told, yes, and I'm glad to have that confirmed for us.
That I shall enjoy your blend while you live.
And so, as will I. I get out the night blend. I want this guy sleeping tonight, so
okay.
I will. I'll put in not a lot. I'll put in enough so we can have a friendly smoke. We're not gonna go crazy with it, but I'll put in one of the night blends and kind of pack it down, set up the hookah. Does he have any pillows in here?
There are blankets and cushions of questionable cleanliness.
Again, much like Pei, I will kind of like, as I pick one up, I'll kind of give it a little bang and then like wave my hand over with a little prestidigitation, kind of like get a little bit extra dust on it, and I'll kind of make a little circle around the the hookah. Say, please sit down and partake.
If he notices your magic, he gives no indication.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going out of my way to hide it, but I'm also not going out of my way to demonstrate it either. So,
he helps himself to your smoke. He kind of makes a hog of himself of it. In fact,
that's great. That's what I want.
Good. Yes, good. This is good. Yes.
Good. Yes, it's quite fine. It was a gift, actually. I don't have a lot of it, I'm afraid, but it was a gift from a friend of mine to wish us well on our way. So,
I want to ask you all something.
Please.
It's important if you're going. If you die, what of yours can I have?
Well, if you come across us in the desert, well, I suppose if you come across our corpses, then I suppose it's all fair game, isn't it?
Good.
Assuming nothing else crawls off with it.
Excellent.
But I must warn you before that we will be needing it.
Oh yes, I have no use for the corpses while you're still operating them.
Please smoke some more. And I put it to my mouth and I make the gesture, but I kind of like just a little tiny bit, just like put it off to the side. Like
you don't have to tell him. He's barely passing it back to you.
So I'm not smoking, but I lean over to Vicus. Did he say he has no use of the corpses while we are upright?
Well, I think he's crazy.
Yeah. So, tell me, crazy man. Are you a necromancer? You're muted, Rob.
What? No. I have different reasons for wanting them.
Oh, you wish to defile our corpses for other reasons.
I kind of pause, looking slightly horrified, like that, like you walk into someone's house and sat around and you ask casually ask the guy's wife if she's a hooker, that kind of thing, like.
Defile.
And I slowly put the hookah down.
No, not defile. Enjoy. There are many foods of the desert, but none quite so sweet.
Oh, yes. So you are a cannibal.
Oh, perhaps more of a gourmet.
This got awkward.
So my hand drops to the lower portion of my back, and you can hear that eerie sound of a sword being slid out. Just that.
He just kind of leans back a little bit. He doesn't really do anything. Physically, he doesn't look imposing at all. He may have magics you don't know, but physically, he doesn't appear to be able to cause any threat damage.
Yeah.
Well, to each his own, I suppose.
He looks at you. He looks at you and he points at Ku. He has a blade. Perhaps he wishes to taste me.
I look at everyone and look at him, and I say, "Are there no tribes out there keeping the restless dead from rising again? Have you not seen anyone?"
Restless dead? No, I've seen things. I've seen many things. I have seen creatures crawl in out of the desert. Alive? Dead? It's hard to say. The desert is not empty. Oh, no. It is vast, and it is deadly.
He doesn't know anything.
As I'm kind of sitting there, I'm kind of reviewing Morse's last letter in my head, and I'm trying to remember if I saw the word cannibal anywhere, and I'm kind of cursing in the back of my mind. I was like,
Nope.
You could have warned me about this one, Morse. Really, yeah, this would have been a good bit of information, along with all the doom and gloom. But does the night smoke seem to be affecting him at all? I'm kind of
he seems to be getting more and more relaxed, like he's kind of leaning back, and his eyes are kind of heavy.
Excellent. Okay. So I guess it's just this big awkward silence as we're all kind of sitting there, and I say, you can't eat us, right?
Not alive. No. We need you alive. That's crazy. Who eats live food?
Of course. No, it didn't mean that. I mean, we're going to leave here alive, just so you know.
This might be the last place you leave alive. The desert can be very harsh.
and we understand that. We understand the risks. I'm simply putting our cards on the table, so to speak. That while you have an interesting diet, we do not intend to be part of it by your hand before we leave.
You said if you died, you said I could have your corpses. You said
if we die of natural causes, yes. Murder, however,
there's little of in the desert that is natural. Murder?
Perhaps.
You think me a murderer? No.
Oh no. I meant if someone else murdered us, say, a thief happens by, or a
he looks around worried.
A crazy man bent on killing, for example.
He kind of backs into a corner, looking around at the four of you, suddenly seeming threatened by you.
Well, I suppose we should get some sleep then. And I take my time cleaning and packing up the hookah. I take a little bit of extra time with the piece that he had his mouth on, making sure it's really clean. And so, I slide it back in its long, slender bag and tie the top off. And
he only gets up one time throughout the night, and that's shortly thereafter. He gets up and he walks over to a large, maybe a 3-foot tall brass dented, stained vase in the corner, and he pisses into it. And then he goes back to his corner and just kind of lies down and falls asleep.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna. I kind of talk to the other side before we go to bed, and I say, I think we should perhaps take turns sleeping tonight, if you know what I mean.
He's just an old horned one. I wouldn't worry about him.
I do. Tell you what, whoever takes a watch gets a free ride on one of the camels for part of our journey tomorrow.
I'll keep watch.
All right. And you can sleep on the way a bit. All right, so we'll basically arrange for Paige to get to kind of watch him for a while, and I'm gonna have her sort of wake me up before she goes back to bed.
Okay. The night passes without incident. The most menacing thing you find, casually looking around while you're on guard, is a dead but not yet eaten lizard, like a small lizard.
Oh boy.
When you wake in the morning, you all wake and he's still asleep.
Okay. Let's go. So, we'll take our gear. I will. I'll take out a couple of gold pieces and leave them on a little table nearby, in recompense for his water at least. And I'm going to take one of my. I have a number of the more mundane hookah blends, and I will leave him a small pouch of that as well. And
Okay.
doesn't have to make goodwill with the cannibal crazy person.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll head up. We'll make a hasty departure.
Yeah, the camels aren't particularly quiet, but you guys leave without incident, and you start off under this sea of dunes. The first part of what is known as the Cursed Desert. You're not in it for very long before the heat really starts to get to you. I'm going to ask everyone to make me 2 con rolls, please.
Okay. But by the way, as we're sort of setting off, I kind of lean over to Pei, and I say, make sure you note this on the map. Warning: crazy cannibal tiefling.
I don't know what you did with your portion of the watch, but that's what I was doing with mine.
Excellent.
Making a map and noting crazy cannibals.
Excellent. All right.
I only need to know if anybody get rolls low.
I got a 9 and then I got a natural 20, so.
I got a 10. 10 was my lowest.
Okay. Anybody get lower than that?
Yep. I got a 18 and 15.
You're fine.
13 and 15.
Okay, you're fine. So you do find the heat a little wearying, though, as you travel for about 4 hours into the heat, and you find yourselves frequently going to the canteens for sips or mouthfuls of water to cool off.
By the way, I noticed that Pei is having a much harder time than the rest of us. So as she's sort of on the camel for part of the day because she took a watch, I kind of walk alongside her and I say, I know you're having difficulty with this, and I really do appreciate your sacrifice in making this journey. I mean, I know you're getting something out of it as well, but I just want you to know that you have the strength to do this. You know, I can see it in you. It was one of the things that Morse taught me, was to be able to see this sort of resolve and hardiness within those that travel, and you'll come through the other side if you just hang in there. And I impart give her an inspiration die.
So Paige says, "Thank you, Kaylin. I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, but I appreciate your faith in me. It makes me feel a bit better to know that you think I'm going to do well, and you seem to know what you're talking about. I'm so tired. I wasn't expecting this much heat. I'll probably get used to it, just like I had to get used to being on a boat. Both of them kind of make me sick.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually I got over that, and now I can be on a boat all day, and it's fine."
Mm-hmm. And that inspiration is a D6, by the way, just FYI. Yeah, so we'll continue
Okay.
on again. Where I do tell them, by the way, my as we start to get hot and we're feeling it and we're starting to drink, I say, one thing that Master Morse told me was never, don't try and conserve your water. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but you really want to keep your belly full. He was saying that many times they found those in the desert dead of dehydration with water still in their water skins because they tried to make it last. And although it can boost your morale to have that sip of water, it's best to have it in your belly where it's needed. So don't feel you need to ration it as such. Just drink when you're thirsty.
Okay, so after traveling for a couple of hours, the sun gets even hotter, which you didn't realize it could happen. If any of you are wearing anything metal, you quickly learn to take it off. And in fact, when you even touch things metal, bits of harness and stuff, you're like, whoa, that's hot.
Mm-hmm.
And so you learn to avoid that. So you're traveling wearing light clothing.
Yeah.
The sand turns from shallow dunes to like taller dunes, and you're walking up dunes and walking down dunes and then back up dunes and then back down dunes. And I'm going to have you each make me dexterity checks in this. The dunes seem to go on and on and on.
4. Is that just a check or a save?
5.
Yeah, it's a dexterity save, I guess, in this case.
Oh, okay. So it's in that case it's a 6. So not a lot better, but.
So you two who rolled low, you kind of stumble in going down one of these dunes, and you sort of pitch forward and sort of slide down the dune, like come to rest at the bottom with a mouth full of sand from the sweat. All the sand all stuck to you. So 2 of you at the top of the dune and 2 of you at the bottom of the dune. The camels seem to be able to handle it no trouble.
I hold my hand up and I wave that I'm okay, and I just they just hold. We'll be right there. Are you all right?
No, of course not. As I'm uselessly trying to wipe the grit off of my face, which is just sticking to my hands, which is going back onto my face again, and then back and forth. And I'm like, take a deep breath, and it's just a test.
I'm going to ask you two who fell. We're going to even odds here. I'm going to have you two fell to roll me any die of your choice. I want to know if you got an even number or not number. You want an even number.
6.
Oh, yes, even. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So you managed to hang on to whatever was in your hand when you fell over.
Okay.
This goes on for a little while, and it gets even more tiring with the hot sun beating down. The temperature of the sun rises, and you have to drink even more water. At one point, when you crest a dune, you see a dune kind of off to your right, and it sort of looks like the very top of a fence, perhaps. Like just most of it's buried in sand, and like maybe a dozen or so bits of fence are sticking up out of this sand.
What is it made out of? Is it wood or stone?
It's hard to tell from here. It's a light whitish in color, like maybe bleached sand or rock, but it's like on the next dune to your right. It's like on the peak of one dune, and you're on a peak of the next dune, of a nearby dune.
Pay is, I assume, still on the camel. I say, what do you make of that?
I'm gonna look. I have contacts in my eyes that make me better at looking.
Yes.
Do I?
Yes,
what's
you
it
do.
look like to me?
Well, I'm going to tell you in a moment, but because you have those contacts and it's very bright out, you're going to have to make me a roll first. So that roll is going to be versus it's called? It's like a sun blindness. So I want you to make me a Constitution roll.
Okay.
The
14.
DC is 10. Okay, the DC is 10. So you have to blink for a few seconds, and then it kind of swims into focus. It looks like the top of a fence, like I described, only it's made of white pieces of wood, and the wood seems slightly curved or warped.
Could it be bones?
Yeah, that's what I'm suspecting. Suspecting bones. Does it
sounds like a rib cage or something?
It's possible.
How late in the day is it?
It's like 10 in the morning.
Okay, so it's still time to go. Unless you want to go examine it quickly, we should keep going.
Well, if we go look at it, maybe somebody else went over there and there's something we can find. Plus, it would be good if there's some shade to just catch a breather.
All right, so I guess I say, what do you all think about taking a short detour over here? I know we don't want to make a habit of this, but this looks interesting.
It's a detour of about 200 yards.
Yeah.
It is not like we have an exact path at the moment.
Well,
it's also the only thing you've seen out here in the past several hours that isn't sand.
Yeah. All right. So that alone, I think, would be kind of a lure to us, just something that's not sand. So we'll kind of veer our caravan in that direction slightly, and
sure.
Swing by it.
The caravan sort of makes a...
As we go over there. I'm sorry. As we're heading over there, I kind of want to sidle up next to Callan and Kalen and say to him kind of quietly, say we're consuming a lot of our water, but there's the plants, the scrub plants are the things that lead us to more sources, and I don't see any. What are we going to do?
Well, there are rumors of an oasis somewhere in this direction, and I think we'll be coming out. We can talk about it more tonight, but I think we'll be coming out of the dunes before then. So we'll have to. And I'm kind of keeping my voice low so Pei doesn't hear, because we don't want to panic her.
Right, and indeed, Vicus, when you look around on a 360-degree view, it looks the same in every direction. It's just rolling dunes in every direction. If it wasn't for the sun, you wouldn't really have any idea of like your path or direction. The entourage makes its way over, down one dune and up another towards this top of this fence or whatever it is sticking out of the dune. As you get within about 50 feet of it, and some of the sand starts to fall away from it from the motion of your movement and the camel's movements. I'm going to assume you're off the camels most of the time, unless you tell me otherwise. Keep in mind that most of the camels are near their weight capacity without being heavily encumbered. They could carry you in a pinch, but they would heavily encumber them.
Yeah.
So you guys are on foot. The camels are walking near you, beside you, whatever. You approach this thing, and as we get within about 50 feet of it, the sand where it's sticking out shifts and turns, and the top of this fence sort of rises out, and you see it. In fact, it is indeed the part of a rib cage of a large lizard, like a giant lizard, probably about 30 feet long. Only it's just the skeleton of a giant lizard. You can see a long, bony neck, and then a head at the end. And the rib cage was the body you're looking at, and a long, bony tail. And it flips over and it quickly scurries down the hill towards you, seemingly bent on attacking you. Roll initiative.
Okay.
Oh, wow. I wish I could show you guys.
12.
14.
I got a 22. I rolled a 20.
And Ku,
Yes.
18.
did you say 18? Okay, so I rolled a natural 1. So you guys are going to go first in the order of Vicus, Vicus, Ku, Pei, and then Kalen, and then this thing.
Mhm.
So it's coming right at you, the group, Vicus, and its head is probably about the size of a camel, or maybe the camel's torso anyway. And it's opening up this bony, wide, white skull as it comes toward you. What do you want to do?
All right. I like wave my hands in the air and like try to draw its attention towards me, and I'm like, over
got that.
here. Oh,
You succeeded.
how do we get a roll? I do like one motion, like I do a sidestep, and then I start to run, and then I go down to all fours, and I'm going to. So all I'm basically doing is dodging and moving, but I want to circle. So go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, you're kind of downhill from it. It's uphill from you, and it can move faster than you can. So it's going to be quickly upon you, but it doesn't have a chance to do anything quite yet. I believe it is Ku's turn to go, unless you wanted to do something else. You succeeded in getting its attention, getting down, and burying yourself in the dirt. Or half.
No. Clearer description. It looks like I'm running on all fours like a four-legged animal.
Okay.
But I have not.
I
I haven't changed everything.
Okay, that doesn't seem to deter it in any way. Ku, what would you like to do?
All right. So, as the elf drops to all fours, I always knew they were animals. But I reach back and I draw this large sword, and it's not katana curved. It's just a large great sword off my back, and I begin sort of motioning in a slight figure 8 before waving it across the ground. And as I do, again, this is sort of chant coming from him. And the 3 of you can all receive the bless spell.
Nice.
So that will give you a D4 on your any attack, save, or skill check for the next minute. You can choose when to use it after you've rolled your die, but before you're told whether or not it was successful.
Right.
Correct.
That's just a save or skill check, right? Not attacks or anything like that stuff.
No, it's attacks also.
Oh, it's attacks.
Basically, any D20.
I guess that's the easy way of saying it. Any D20, it's a die 4, but you have to elect to use it before you know the results.
Right.
And so as I make that sweeping sound, the sand actually kind of rushes back a little bit. It doesn't create a sandstorm, but you can see the sand move, and maybe even like a little baby skeletal lizard like pokes its head up real fast and goes skittering up, and it climbs up inside the rib cage of this larger one, and is sort of riding on the inside of it. But you guys all do get this, and Pei might find this refreshing as this sort of almost lakeside smell washes over her for a moment as the effects of the spell. I love thinking that spells have a feel and a smell to them when they go off. So
yeah,
Fireball sure does.
Yeah, it does. Smells like cooked rogue. No, but for a moment there's this cool breeze. Not enough to change your temperature, but enough that maybe it makes you happy for a split second. Maybe it makes you more homesick.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you can think about it when there's not a giant skeleton lizard trying to attack you.
Yeah.
There's that.
I would like you to make me a wisdom roll, though, please, Steve.
Yeah, I can do that. Any particular thing apply to it, or just straight wisdom?
Religion.
Okay, I can do that for you. So it's a 16 on the die, 18 total.
Okay, you've cast this spell before. This spell works and has the effects you described. However, there seems to be there's a noticeable, at least to you, pause from the time when you complete your little gesticulations and the magic commences, like almost a second. That's not happened before.
I've got server lag.
Yeah. Magic lag, yeah.
All right, yeah. So as that happens, and I feel that Ku, like, he furrows his brow and his muscles tighten a little bit more, not knowing whether it's something to do with the magic or this beast. But either way, it's disturbing to him.
Okay, and Pei, I believe you get to go next.
Right. Pei is going to call upon a bit of the power of this pact she made with a patron she doesn't know anything about, and hex the monster to give it disadvantage on any strength checks it makes, and then she is going to shoot purplish black energy out of her hand that looks a bit like ink, and is going to slam into it for damage if I roll to hit very well.
Okay.
15?
That is a hit. What does the manifestation of your hex look like?
It's not something anything but it can see, and it is just this eye. It looking at it from wherever it looks, it sees an eye staring at it hatefully.
Okay, so I believe you're going to roll some damage with your Eldritch Blast. That's what
I'm
you're
going to
doing.
roll damage with my Eldritch Blast. Here's a D12. Where's my D12? Here's my D12. Oops, D10. Where's my D10? Here it is. All right, so it will take 2 damage from that, and from the hex it will take 6 more.
Okay.
Which is 6 is 18, or is 8, I mean.
Okay. So you see little bits of bone, perhaps the end of one of the ribs that was sticking up kind of shears off from where the blast strikes it. Kaelin, this thing is about to clamp its jaws onto Vicus. What do you want to do?
Okay. So I roll my shield off my back onto my left hand while I draw my my bearded axe with the other. The bearded axe is this beautifully shaped and carved bearded axe. It's been it looks like it's been handmade, hand hammered. It looks kind of rough toward the back, but the edge is beautifully polished and clean with a nice sharp edge, a dark handle, and I move forward with the shield in front of me, ready to like lunge for this thing's neck. And although it's not flesh, it is certainly bone, and I'm going to try to separate parts of its bone from the other parts. So I'm going to try to take off its head. Yeah. Natural 20.
Hit. That would be a hit. So maximum damage. Roll your damage as normal, and then add the maximum you could have rolled.
Okay.
Add your bonus once, but you get to add your maximum dice.
Okay, so it takes 15 points of damage. So I bring the
yeah, you sever massive chunks of bone out of it. There doesn't seem to be enough bone left to keep the neck intact, and yet it holds.
Yeah.
The creature does respond and react to you. You said 15 damage, right?
Correct.
Okay. I'm just keeping a mental track. There's only one monster. So the monster does react to you. He attempts to bite Vicus, and at the same time, its bony tail whips around and strikes at you. So I'm going to make two rolls. The bite hit. Oh no, the bite I think hit, but I think the tail missed. What is your AC?
My AC's 13 right now. I'm not wearing my armor, so.
Okay, no, I got enough. 9 plus 5 is 14.
Okay.
So the bite, you see.
Don't forget the bite is at disadvantage because he's dodging.
Say what?
He took the dodge action.
Yes. The Vicus is ducking. Yes. I got dual 15. So Vicus, your bit bone from this jaw kind of bites into your side, and you take 11 points of damage, and you feel it kind of tearing the flesh and kind of crushing it a little bit. For you, Kaelin, the tail snaps around, whack, striking you across the chest. You take 6 points of damage. It knocks you back about 10 feet and on your ass, poof, in the sand. Once again, you're on your ass in the sand.
Well, since
it's sort of towering over Vicus. Good.
I was going to say, since it kind of has the high ground anyway, I'm just going to kind of roll with it and go like a couple more tumbles down to get out of its immediate strike range. And
I
my feet.
Yes, I could sort of, using the rules of 5e, technically it has advantage anyway for its height differential. But yes, so you are underneath this thing. It's over you with these massive jaws. I'm almost picturing a scene like at a Jurassic Park. It's massive jaws right above you trying to inflict even more damage on you as it wants to tear parts of you off. What do you want to do? It's in your face.
As the bite comes around me, it can almost see through it as it like clenches into my body, and I'm like, oh man, because I've taken a third of my hit points away. I look out into the as I'm trying to grab onto its teeth and keep it from biting me. I look out into the desert and noticed something, and I close my eyes and imagine this lupine creature that's out in the distance, and imagine it inside of me. And so I use a rage, activate my rage.
Okay.
As the summoning the power of the jackal inside of me. And it lasts a minute, and I get resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage.
That's fine. You can track that. Just tell us what it looks like.
What's this? Yes, and as it's trying to wrestle with me, I literally, because I'm not even going to pull a weapon, I start trying to grab at it with my arms and such and try to break a tooth off.
Go for it.
All right.
So I'm gonna give you an automatic on the you grabbing it part, although it's not going to be considered constrained or grabbed, but you can still get your hands on it. But yeah, you can certainly make me, let's say, opposing strength rolls, maybe, or your strength versus its con, maybe. That makes sense to me.
Sure. Sure. Now, would you say that while I'm under that effect, I have advantage on strength checks, but it's large size, so would that like kind of cancel each other out? Like,
oh, I see what you're saying, because it's the creature's bait, like a large size creature.
Right. It's far larger than me, but I get advantage on strength checks.
I'm going to give you the advantage on the notion that this thing is weathered, well weathered.
Okay. All right. Bam. All those dice. Are you kidding me? Okay. I rolled a 4 and 3, so that's a total of 6.
Oh, you might have still got it. I only rolled a 6. I didn't. Well, let me look at this. What his strength is. Oh, his strength is 18, so I got a 10.
Nah, I got a 6. I lost. All right,
10
at least.
Okay.
Don't forget to add your D4. You got blessed.
You got your bless.
You don't have to add it.
Why do I always forget that? All right,
Yeah,
6 plus.
You got to declare it after. You got to declare it before you know whether it's a thing, though.
Right.
That's true. That's true. You're correct.
So keep that in mind for next time your bless is still intact. But yeah, you struggle with this thing, and it's kind of like you sort of well, Steve can relate. It's like when you're wrestling with the dog, only this freaking dog's jaw is wider than you are.
Exactly.
Okay, Koo, what do you want to do? Unless you want to do something else, you get a bonus action or something. You go for it, DBJ.
All right. Go ahead.
As an action, although
Well,
I know
your action.
completely.
Your action was an attack via strength, but if you have a bonus action, or
Correct.
something you want to do, you can.
No, I don't. I'm not going to perform one. But intentionally, what I'm going to try to do is scoot out of its jaws and attempt to get out of its way and try to come at it from a different angle, like a kind of like a rabid dog. Like, okay, this isn't working. I'm going to come at it from another direction.
All right,
So,
you're in a bad way. You're on the ground and it's big and over top of you, and you're half buried in sand.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have you make me a dexterity check at disadvantage.
Sure. 15 and 7. So 7 plus 2, 9 in total.
He's all over you. You try and scurry back, and he just like it's just like a half a step for him, and he's back on top of you, and you're like trying to sort of half bury yourself in the sand to stay away from these chomp jaws. Cool.
You forgot bless again.
But very sorry guys, very important. I got a message, so I have to go. So
okay.
But
so
I end up right, and I end up essentially getting myself buried under the sand as I'm trying to man a small human being or humanoid being trying to fight this thing as it basically claws at me and buries me in the sand, waist deep and deeper.
Right on. All right, we'll talk to you soon, DBJ.
You got it. Sorry, guys.
Okay. So Vicus is being bit by this giant lizard. Koo, what would you like to do?
All right. So, assuming I can get to it, which I imagine I can at this point.
You can.
I'm going to. I come with the sword in front of me, sort of charging at it, and I will attempt to. I would like to say chop its head off, but we all know how this is not going to work. So, but that's what I'm swinging for. I'm attempting to bring this big sword down on some portion.
Sure,
go for sever a head.
Yep.
As I do it, the sword begins to glow with this sort of radiance.
Nice.
As I sort of throat, and then it sort of hums up into the sword, and as the sword swings, it's almost like the sword is making that sound as it comes down. So I'm going to use Divine Smite as well as my Oath of Vengeance. So Vow of Enmity. So my bonus action will be to mark it with a Vow of Enmity, as I call it out for being an unnatural creature that must be destroyed. And I'll gain advantage on all attack rolls against it for the next minute.
Excellent. So there is that sort of half-second pause where it seems to take a little bit longer for your spell to go off before the blade starts to glow. Carry on.
No problem. Now, it's actually not a spell. It's just burning a spell slot, but if that's still kosher with what you're talking about, then I'm good for it.
I think it makes sense. In this
it does. Okay, sounds good. All right, so I'm going to swing at it here. The higher of the two will be a 17 to hit it.
Hit.
All right, and search right here. It will do. Ooh. I have no dice 6 because I don't normally use them for this. Wow. Can someone just roll 2 dice 6 for me? I don't have them handy.
Yeah.
Sure.
I got it.
You got a 3, and then you got a 4.
Okay, man.
Okay. So that will be 7 plus 1. So that's going to be 10 plus this. Oh, nice. So it's going to be 17 points of damage. 7 of it being radiant, if that matters for anything.
It does. So this is what happens. You have moved into the spot where Kalen was fighting it, and you strike pretty much the exact same spot. Your axe cleaves right through the bone, and the head and about 4 or 5 feet of neck bone separates from about another 3 or 4 feet of neck bone and the rest of the body. However, it does not. Both pieces still continue to function. You've now got a separated head and body. You've done a total of 34 damage to it. 42 damage to it so far. Pei, it is your turn. So you've got this head, and it's kind of got a bit of a snake neck to it that's still trying to bite the prone ficus. And the body is sort of flailing around with this tail snapping.
All right. Well, I had focused on the head of it when I was hexing it, so the head part is still the part that has the evil eye staring at it.
Okay.
And I pour more energy into my hand and throw more of this purplish, blackish ink at the creature, attempting to. I'm trying to get it to wrap around through its eyes and jerk on the bone there to try and snap it.
This is what spell?
It's still a Eldritch Blast. That's the only attack spell I know.
Okay.
15 to hit.
So your blast hammers. That's a hit. Hammers into the skull. It's the eye socket. It has no eye.
Yeah, I'm trying to break the eye socket open. And that's 10 damage.
Okay. Large chunks of bone go shattering out. You've sort of carved apart a trench through the eye socket. It still continues to thrash on the ground, though, trying to bite at Vicus. What do you want to do, Caitlin?
All right. Well, I get to my kind of roll to my feet, and then charge up the hill through the sand.
Okay. You got to make a dex roll to do that. The DC is 5.
Yep. Oh, okay. Yeah, I rolled a natural 13. So
just because of the dunes.
Yep. Yeah. But I'm kind of leaning into it. I have my shield up, the axe. It takes me, my full movement basically just make the small 10 or 15 foot charge. Okay. And I go, come at me, and I cleave up with my axe, trying to get it away from Vicus. 11 and so 16.
Hit.
All right. And oops, wrong die. Takes 6 more points of damage.
Okay, it's when you do that, it's like kind of the nose piece falls off,
Mm-hmm.
and then the whole thing just sort of like shudders and shakes, and then falls to the sand, not moving.
I gotta put my shield up, pieces bounce off of it. Yeah.
Ku, please make me a perception roll.
I can do that, I hope.
Is the back part still flailing around, by the way?
No, when the head collapsed, it fell up pretty much at the same time.
Okay, good.
17.
Okay, you can see that Vicus, at least his upper torso, is completely immersed in sand, including his head.
Nope.
Okay.
Whose turn is it?
He's dead. Anybody can go.
Okay, well, I'm going to go yank Vicus out of the sand.
Yeah. As I see him go over, I was going to go over and check on him, but yeah, we quickly pull him out of the sand, brush his face off. I take my hat off and beating some of the sand off him.
Find him lightly unconscious. he comes to enough to sort of spit out sand, and then he sort of rolls over on his side, like, ugh. Also probably exhausted after his rage wore off. He's breathing, but he's maybe sleeping. He's unconscious right now. And you guys stand there next to this giant dead lizard skeleton.
Well, the first thing I'm gonna do is I take my hat off and I put it on the sand. I take my scarf off and I put my kind of brush the sand kind of lightly away from his face, picking little bits of it off, and I kind of put my both hands on the side of his head I sort of bow my head and begin whispering, faint words of power as that comes out as sort of has a little song kind of poetry to it again sounds lyrical, and as I do, I'm going to attempt to impart some healing to him.
Okay. Would this magic be considered arcane or divine?
Well, bards are usually arcane, I'm assuming. So, although they do have access to cure wounds, so I always assumed it was arcane since it was.
Is this cure wounds you're casting?
Yeah, but it's in the bardic.
I always assumed that bards bridged the gap and could access both, but
kind of
how I
yeah.
feel. So this is what I'm going to say happen. You can cast your spell as you normally would. However, you notice that there is a delay between the time the magic should have worked and it actually does work. It's not a big delay, but it's a noticeable one.
Right. Right. Well, in any case, let me double check. Don't normally play healers. Right, so he gets a total of 8 hit points restored.
Okay, so we'll let him know. We'll let him know when he returns. Since he's gone, he had to go. I'm going to call it right here.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. We're going to pick it up right here next time. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Hope you enjoyed it. And good night.
Good night.